Titty smacks.
Oh, that was my favorite cereal as a kid, actually. Yeah.
Part of this balanced breakfast.
I know, but as with everything, once they start getting soggy, it loses a lot of the appeal. So it's something you want to eat while they're still crunchy, if you know what I mean. Anyways, we could go on about titty smacks all night, but rather, it doesn't even matter. We don't even know. I mean, are we on the internet?
No, we're not on the internet. This is not the first show of 2021.
Yes, it is. It's the first show of 2021. Can you believe it? Holy cow, we survived. We survived the nightmare that was 2020. Danny, I know that these times are tough and we're all staying at home. How did you end up celebrating New Year's Eve?
I ended up celebrating New Year's Eve probably by playing Dragon Age.
Oh!
Yep, that was it.
I
Definitely
totally
that was
forgot. I know. I totally forgot that they dropped Dragon Age 4 on Christmas Eve. That was so crazy.
Yes, it was amazing.
It ended up being the most wonderful surprise.
Truly.
Matt, Marisha, did you guys get into it at all over the break since the surprise drop?
No, I was too busy trying to eventually make my way through the Cyberpunk character creator. So, three weeks in, hoping to get some story at some point.
Yeah.
And my main goal was to make it out of Seattle in The Last of Us 2.
Oh.
And I did that.
You did that?
Hey!
I remember you texting and saying, I'm no longer in the rainy city. I remember getting a text about that. Yeah.
I said those words.
Yep.
Great New Year's for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ash and I took the dogs and we took the boat out to Joshua Tree. Spent a couple of days out there, just kind of like, laying out, working on our tans out in the desert. And then eventually, once the state park police showed up and told us that we weren't allowed to be letting off fireworks inside some of the caves, we packed everything up and, we went ahead and headed back up here. So, but it was a chill. The thing is the fireworks.
That's pretty light for you.
It was actually, we're in quarantine. So we stayed inside the cave. We were 6 feet from the next cave in case there were some other campers in there. And we didn't let the fireworks off, out into the middle of we weren't going to catch any of the dirt on fire. We were being very safe about it.
You were like a Sims character where you would light the fireworks inside of the house.
People often tell me that I have the emotional structure of a Sims character. So
that is fair. That's very fair.
That checks out. What were you going to say, Marisha?
Did you happen to catch the famed glowworms of the Joshua Tree Caverns?
We weren't able to catch any. We brought a lot of mason jars, but we forgot the lids.
I see.
So we would get them, but then a murder hornet would fly into the jar, grab the worm, and then take it off to the colony. They live in murder hornet colonies. I watched a special about it on the BBC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hear Gary Busey lives in those caves.
When we were trying to sleep the first night, I heard an echoing sound in the distance that was like, "Hey there, fella. You got any matches? I'm running low on matches over here."
Sleep well, butthorn.
Yeah. Anyway.
How eventful.
That's how, welcome to 2021 is what we're saying, critters. We hope you also had a very safe break and holiday time, however you celebrated, whatever you celebrated. We're just glad to be back. We're glad to be back with you. And tonight, we are glad to discuss the Mighty Nine, exploring ancient ruins, much like how I spent my New Year's. Ally with the Tomb Takers and cross River of Love. Or was it lava?
It was lava.
It was lava.
Yeah.
All that and more tonight on Talks Lavaca.
Hey.
That probably means something in like Swedish that's really bad. Hit it, Max.
Waffle farts.
I have nothing for that one. That was really good. Ay. Wow.
Suffer as I suffer, Brian.
Okay, Matt, I totally understand a lot more now, but you could smell that joke. The first thing that hit me was it was like it came through the screen.
Yeah, it was like...
Have you ever used that one on Matt? Have you ever used that one on Matt at the show?
No, that's a new one.
That's a new one. But it's visceral. It gives me like flash memories of like Sunday morning trips to the bowling alley when you're a kid. That's what a waffle fart smells like. There we go.
Well, yeah, that's disgusting. The folks at home may not be able to tell, but Matt is not at the tropical island resort that it looks like he's at right now. They're actually in the same house. And Ash and I get a lot of questions since we've been filming talks and different shows at home about why we shoot in different rooms despite being in the same house. And I thought maybe since we have the creative director of Critical Role on the show that we could ask, Danny, why do we do that?
Oh, I'm the creative director.
That's a lot has happened since we were since the last episode.
That's very
of Talks.
fair. It's been a while.
She was lore keeper for about 6 months, and then went to creative director.
She's a climber. What did you say?
Immediately.
Marisha is now head of streaming for the internet. It was one of that was actually crazy. Vice President Kamala Harris called her and said, "Do you want to become president of streaming? It's a new thing, you know." And Marisha was like, "I'm leaving you fuckers in the dust, but I'll do Talks one last time."
Yeah, I'm clearly the best candidate and most knowledgeable when it comes to Queen of Streaming in particular for the internet. Yep, that's me.
No, but the reason why we film separate cameras is because it's better for the video, it's better for the audio, and
and we have specific overlays made.
Yeah, everyone wants their own window.
Yeah, it just looks better audio quality in these weird times.
What we're not telling folks is that my screen requires so much effects and airbrushing and correction to like a lot of my spray tans and some of the different stuff so that...
There's a blackout in Burbank every time we export Talks Machina.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I actually have 4 or 5 backup cameras above this one in case. A couple of generators under the desk. I'm ready to go.
We've gotten a lot of work for like all the Hollywood render farms that aren't working now thanks to the lockdown. So happy to help out the industry.
This is the only show on Twitch that records in After Effects. Well, after the last episode, folks, we do not have a sponsor tonight, so we're going to jump straight in to the questions, starting with our wonderful Dungeon Master. Also, Danny, a lot has changed, like I said. It's crazy. But thanks for being here, Matt. No, Matt.
No worries. Yes.
After all this time, and I can't believe you have not been on the show yet to talk about this, but after all this time, you finally introduced the Tomb Takers to the Mighty Nine. What was it like getting to reveal these characters that were hinted at the early stages of the campaign? Do you have any favorites among their ranks as well?
I'm glad we finally got to it, based on the narrative. Established them a long time ago, but it was all very loose and distant, and it was kind of fun to pull them back in. It's hard to not say the Lucian's my favorite because he's the one that I get to play the most with, and he's the one that's the most immediately connected to and threatening to the group. But they've all got some fun quirks to them. I'm excited to explore those in coming interactions as we progress. But it's one of those rare experiences as a Dungeon Master where you get to watch your players combat with the necessity of playing along. Like just the instinct is like, fuck these guys, I want to fight them, or let's take their shit, because that's what a lot of D&D games can be. There's that delightful aspect of, or I guess we have to play nice, and they begrudgingly grit their teeth, and I smile internally.
Yeah. That's a good summation of D&D for sure. Did you, when you were, it was definitely leading up to him coming back, it was for sure he was going to be showing up. Did you go back and watch the early episodes and try to sort of nail Talison's accent and then realize that it's just sort of, there wasn't much sort of to it, and you almost were going to start offending different types of people had you tried to mimic it, so you just decided...
You're all so mean to Taliesin. Oh, man. No, I went back and watched a little bit and was less trying to do, like, an Irish accent. I was more trying to do a Molly accent. And then just kind of do my own spin on it, because, I knew after I got 2 or 3 sentences into speaking in character, it would just become its own weird mutation of whatever it was going to be. So
as they all do, with NPCs and stuff. But oh man, that's amazing. Yeah, like with Farnham, I didn't know he was going to be Kermit the Frog. I thought he sounded like Farnham, but then when you watch it back, you're like, that's a goddamn great Kermit the Frog impression.
It is.
I'm calling Henson Factory or whatever the fuck. Marisha, nice to have you back on the show.
Thanks.
I know you were really busy. Marisha completed, listen to this, 33 puzzles between when the last talks aired, which would have been sometime around like Tuesday, December 15th, and then we went on break. 33 puzzles until this episode. I think that's a crazy record, and I just wanted to give you a special shout out for that. I think tonight you should tweet maybe a picture of as many of them as you can on your coffee table. You know what I mean? Like if they're still
would. Yeah, they were all
together.
Digital though. Oof. Gone and
man.
done. And also
they expire after like the...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You also failed to mention that I completed them all in about 45 minutes. So
right, but then we'd have to talk about that missing Adderall truck in your neighborhood and some of that. We'd have to maybe tie some of that stuff together. I'd be a little worried about the threads that some of our very smart critters would. Instead, let's talk about this. How is Bo feeling? Anyone who thinks like the show's going to get better next year, I see a lot of those threads, How's Bo feeling knowing many, many, many of her theories about the Tomb Takers, Vess, and the Living City turned out to be correct?
Oh, I mean...
It's gotta be a great feeling.
Jamie, what?
She straight up Mickey Mouse Club posed for that one.
No, it's it's definitely vindicating. I'm not gonna lie, and rewarding, but also know that, I write a lot of shit down in that notebook that's never relevant ever again.
But you never know. But that's why you write it all down, is because you never know. And with Matt, you really never know as a DM. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It feels... It's definitely a good feeling to know that I didn't go on that 15-minute deep dive and was utterly wrong about everything that I said.
That would have been amazing.
It would have been pretty great.
So, but I was pretty confident, at least in a good majority of it, and just kind of knowing what I knew, and also just kind of recognizing what I didn't fully have all the answers to yet.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I hope
that's also a smart way to live. That's also a smart way to live. That's also good advice for how to live, to be honest. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, I was super proud. Like, I don't know if it shows up at all in any of those scenes, but I'm sitting, like, half of my concentration is on trying not to show my hand. Like, the poker face is in a super intense concentration mode, because in inside of my head, I'm just like, oh shit, she's putting together a lot of these pieces. They've been paying attention. Nothing's worse for any sort of game master than to want to build mysterious aspects of your narrative and to seed things over a long period of time, and then when it comes close to the big reveals, have all your players go, I don't know, this doesn't make any sense. And you're like, well, then why am I even doing this? So, so whenever a player or your players start picking up on these threads and start unraveling the hints you've been dropping, that's a huge boon, and it feels really good from my standpoint. So I was just like silently cheering you on as you went on these long tangents, just going like, oh shit, yeah, keep pulling at the thread.
I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but when I used to watch back in the olden times, CR on Thursday nights with a few friends of mine at home who also watch the show, Dom, Mila, a few other people. Mm-hmm. One night I said, who do you think is the note taker of everyone on the show? And my friends that were over know pretty much everybody on the show too, in real life. Mm-hmm. And know you guys' personalities in real life. And almost everybody guessed Marisha, which I thought was so funny because I never would have guessed that Marisha was. I would have thought like Travis because he's so organized and like whatever. But no, most of the time he's playing tic-tac-toe with himself and just he's not, his
destroying squeeze balls under the table.
Tapping his foot down into the center of the earth throughout the combat things. But no, it is crazy. I have walked past and seen the thousands of pages of stuff that you write down. But it is cool because I also love as I DM stuff too, is watching someone when you're really dropping something that you hope at least one person in the group noticed, because then they might bring it up later and you see someone just kind of jot that down. You're like, and then when they bring it up later, it's even a greater feeling, like you were saying, Matt. But, we could only hope to have players like Marisha, but instead we usually end up with players like Sam.
in full admittance, a lot of it too, because I do think there is such a thing, especially if you have disorganized notes. There can be a thing as almost like too many notes, because then key information can get lost in too much fluff being written about it or anything like that. So I've kind of gotten good at trying to find that balance, I think. But also a lot of times, if you see me jotting stuff down very quickly, a lot of it also just has to do with the type of learner that I am. If I'm someone where if I write it down, if I, see myself putting those words on paper, I'm a little bit more of a visual learner in that way. And so that kind of helps me keep track of everything, as well as Matt is really even just describing the scenes sometimes, because let's be real, sometimes there's a lot of information flying at you very fast.
Yes.
So in order not to get totally lost, some of my notes even include, like when we were doing a couple episodes and we were doing the Gorm fight and we were trying to get there and we were going down these winding hallways and you're kind of just saying like, this is what you see on the right, this is what you see on the left, and ahead of you is this tunnel, it starts to curve to the left, but then it also branches off to the right, or all these different ways. I'll quickly start just doing like a rough sketch of a map on the page as well. And a lot of that is just to try and, for the type of learner that I am, that just kind of helps in the way that I'm able to digest things. I think, like talking about Travis, to his full credit, I think he's very good at auditory learning. Like if he's listening, he's got it. He tends to be pretty good at that.
Yes. I will test him sometimes. Like if I used to be at the office and he would be on his computer and super sucked in, I would tell him like 5 things in a row just to see, and one of them would be untrue, just to see if he's paying attention. I'd be like, yeah, I went to the post office and the line was super long, but like it was cool because there was this kid and he kind of had, some cool sneakers on. So, I took them from him, and then, I told his dad, good taste in sneakers, or whatever. And then Travis was like, And then the dad knocked you out. Yeah, I'm listening, motherfucker. I'm listening. I can do 10 things at once. Try me, So then I'll lie to him while he's typing and I'll start throwing stuff and he catches all of it. It's really annoying, but he's so, he he's scary that way. Everything that goes in there stays in there. It's like, I don't like people like that. I like people that forget everything you say to them.
You're less Travis's friend and more like his floating Jedi training ball.
Yeah.
That checks out.
Yep, that's perfect. Matt, speaking of balls,
Yes.
what does Lucian think of the Mighty Nine, who seem to be strangers to him? Okay, we know he's not a fan of Bo. Are there any other individuals he's particularly intrigued by?
He, without revealing too much, Lucian, he's definitely curious about why they're getting involved in his shit, what vested interests they have in this, and what they're planning alongside him. And he's been watching them from a distance. I think, one, he hates Bo because he doesn't like people that challenge his authority. Never has. That's been a lifelong facet of his personality.
She won't stop anytime soon.
I know, and it's going to end very well. Yeah. I think he gravitates towards Jester to an extent because she's the most open, which also, from his standpoint, also probably makes her the easiest to manipulate, if that makes any sense. At the very least, to the point where he doesn't feel like he'll be challenged as often, except going the other side of the spectrum from Beauregard. He'll say something and Beauregard will be like, but you're wrong. Jester will be like, okay, and just accept it. And so to him, it's an easier, more malleable relationship to continue on this journey with. I think he loves toying with curiosity. And so between Jester and Caleb, who is also easily drawn by curiosity, those are the two people that he seems to feel it. At this moment, with the brief interactions they've had, he's probably the most comfortable interacting with. Caduceus makes him feel a little weird. You can't quite pinpoint him.
First I'm hearing of it.
He's, like I said, trying to be very vague in these instances. He's definitely amused by them. He is amused by them. He is curious about what their small scale and macro scale interests in their doings are, and I'll leave it there.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about some of the curiosity-driven characters, because our curiosity-driven characters in this cast their impulse toward curiosity couldn't come from different places, right? Mm-hmm. Caleb, like it's so interesting, like what drives us can often manifest itself in sort of one of the same things, except it's driving us for a different reason. And I love that in both campaigns you have examples of where, without really spoiling anything from campaign 1 for those of you that haven't seen it, except for that they all die the second to last episode.
Oh my god.
The final episode is just me reading off their names for 3 or 4 hours, even though there was only 7 of them. But you know what I'm saying, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's fun. And and to an extent, the difference between player and character as well. Travis is my usual go-to carrot on a stick, shiny red button, push the thing you're not supposed to, and he can't fight that impulse, or normally can't, when there aren't major stakes necessarily that are viably there. But I don't know, I'd say Ford to Lucian is definitely one of the more guarded and less accessible at the moment. Part of this whole like agreeing to journey with them was both based on the interactions they made, the persuasive arguments they made, and kind of the idea of, through his experience, there are individuals that there's not much of a use to them beyond them being a barrier that should be destroyed or pushed aside, but there's possible utility to this union at the moment, and we'll see how long that effectiveness lasts.
Possible utility to this union? Is that what he said, Danny?
It is indeed. I also heard it. Scribble,
I'm
scribble,
sorry. This is for my wedding vows. I'm sorry. There is some possible utility to this union. Do you think she's not going to watch this? Do you think she's going to find that romantic?
That is what every woman wants to hear.
Matt, I scratched out God don't play cards because that was in my vows, but I'm replacing it. I had to have
as long as you credit me at the end of them, that's all that matters. In this ceremony.
I'm gonna play your voiceover.
There you go.
And for the rest, babe, I'm gonna turn it over to a friend of ours. Here we go. Take out my tape recorder.
I can just me ADRing your entire part of the ceremony.
I can't afford that.
You're just lip sync.
I can't afford that shit. Are you joking?
No.
Oh man, I don't have Sam's money. Marisha, let's ask about, since we talked about Lucian's. Is it Lucian, Matt? Lucian. Because I like it. Lucian, like Looshon. Lucian.
Yeah.
You know, I had a cousin that spelled it that way.
It's like when you're buying lotion in Montana. You had to go pick up some Lucian. That's not how it works. That's not how it sounds.
No, that sounds like Canada.
Everyone in Montana is just like...
Everyone's like, in Montana's like, what the fuck do you think Montana is? Quebec? Jesus.
I don't know. That was a random pull. My apologies.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Matt. I'm not good at accents either.
Sorry,
Marisha.
Montana.
Hashtag sorry, Montana. Hashtag Montana's the new Quebec.
Yeah.
People are going to be really confused and not wanting to click on that one. Brisher, what are Bo's thoughts on Lucian?
Lucian.
And the Tomb Takers? Is she enjoying picking at him and getting under his skin a little bit?
In a way, Bo's picking and poking. It still kind of stems from her defensiveness and guardedness and hurt feelings in a lot of way, and the way that she's coping with things. It's, it's just kind of a few steps removed from, just her default and kind of what she often resorts to when she starts kind of throwing up those barriers, because she still kind of has in the back of her head that she's looking at her dead friend, that she's still more or less in the mourning, like in the middle of the mourning process of, and trying to kind of have that compartmentalization. It's like every time you talk to him, you have to do this weird emotional math. And Bo reacts
like a friend with amnesia, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bo kind of reacts in those ways by throwing up walls and being defensive, and that's her way of protecting herself. If she can be like, fuck you, I don't care about you, to this person, and the more that she says that, the more she's kind of convincing herself, even if it's just by 5%, because she knows it's not true.
Is it working, or is she still feeling those feelings even though she's trying to tough exterior it? Or is she internally, is it working, or are those feelings getting through?
I mean, they're still getting through, but Bo will always try to hide them until they bottle up and rupture in some sort of very bad way. But I think right now, Bo, I mean, this isn't too dissimilar to the way she reacted when Yasha was mind controlled and left with Oban, and her and Ford were both kind of in the same boat of, this is not our friend. We don't know if she was ever our friend. We gotta forget about her, because that's an easier way for Bo. That's the way Bo protects herself and protects herself from that hurt of it. And I think kind of in these moments especially, she knows that Jester is having a hard time. She knows that Yasha is having a hard time. And of course, Bo is having a hard time. But I think she's willing to pad that and try to be strong by saying things like, I hate Lucian. I hate him. And poking at him and being like, you're the worst parts of Molly. And it's not that she doesn't believe those things, because she just kind of does it very much in a way. But it is no doubt just her deep-rooted defense mechanism. She's one of those people. And even though she has matured and gotten much better at allowing herself to be vulnerable, especially around the Mighty Nine and her friends and people she loves and cares about, she's still going to resort to that, to outsiders for sure. Yeah. And Lucien is like an outsider cubed. Like he's this weird dimension of outsider. So it's mental and emotional gymnastics the entire time, and with everything you do and say to him. So it's wild.
Matt's having so much fun. Look at him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, this is great. Well, the whole journey together, it's a unique social sparring match the entirety of the time that they're traveling side by side. They're both trying to learn about each other. They're also both trying to get one over each other, and they're both defensive and waiting for the other to make an aggressive move. And they're both just kind of riding that tension the entire time. Sometimes extending a olive branch, sometimes challenging. It's very interesting. I don't think I've had any aspect in a campaign I've ever run where there's been an antagonistic force that has, for a prolonged period of time, been traveling with and interacting with the protagonists and the players of the story. You're used to the villains that are off doing their own thing and they pop in to laugh and, drop a bomb or leave a trap and then disappear again. It's unique to have an antagonistic force that's part of the narrative that you're going camping with. It's really fascinating, and I wasn't expecting it. The way things I don't know. That's why I love it. That's why I love role playing games. Like the math of all your different travels and paces and journeys and all the decisions you guys made to get here ended up creating this weird, unexpected scenario, and it's very fascinating and honestly a very unique challenge from my standpoint, because it's like having to ride that balance of personal interests from the NPC standpoints, what you guys are doing, and just trying to be ready for anything, because I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, you were mentioning that kind of to be the flip side version of Matt's question earlier of you talking about Lucien being curious as to, and he keeps asking us, like, why are you guys here? What's your deal? And in a way, I don't really feel like we've been too opaque with him about that, because to your point, Matt, we're all kind of there for different reasons. And when you break all of those things down, and we're kind of all there for our own individual motives in a way, it's hard to lock down a larger group motive, because just like in many things in D&D, by all sane accounts, you should be like, nah, this is crazy. I'm out. I'm gonna go home. What are you doing here? You're right. Yeah. What am I doing here? But yeah, it's tricksy to kind of navigate that.
I think there's a part of him that's kind of also wanting to rely on that almost.
Yeah.
How much of your curiosity do you want to be sated before you realize that you may be in over your head? And should turn around and go back home where it's safe and just let me do my thing.
Sure.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
this guy.
Yeah, one of my favorite writers says, I know I'm about to hit rock bottom when my circumstances are deteriorating faster than I'm able to lower my standards. So that's how I sort of base my decisions. I do feel like we should let Hot Topic know that maybe a shirt with like Ashley Birch's face that just says redemption would be a good idea. We just owe her so many thousands of good tweets, because this Lucien thing has just been so wonderful, and we never would have had this arc.
We don't owe her anything.
If it weren't for her bloodthirsty,
owe her thousands of apology tweets.
All I've done is echo what the folks at home have felt on every sort of end of the spectrum of I mean, for We don't have time for this. Matt.
Brian Foster.
Watching the like Zoom windows highlight back and forth, and you guys are between me in this call on my end. So it's like that is the Danny Bryan relationship. It's just like make it pink, make it blue.
I know. Oh my God, I know. Usually it's very loud at the office when we're in there at the same time.
Yeah.
There's always something happening.
Loud with
Did you
joy.
eat my Frosty? Sorry,
Okay,
Danny, you went to go, I don't know, get
Seriously,
mail
don't
or something.
Fuck with my Frosty.
Don't fuck with Danny's Frosties. Word of warning. Matt.
Yes.
The Mighty Nine and the Tomb Takers have quite a strange dynamic right now with this hostage situation that isn't a hostage situation at the same time. What's it like navigating that as a DM?
It's challenging.
Yeah.
It's a lot of variables that are just constantly floating around you. You know, at any given point in time, a wrong interaction, a wrong physical moment of aggression, a wrong statement could escalate things very quickly one way or the other, whether it be triggered by the players or an NPC and how it's interpreted. And it's just it's having to pay attention to a lot of things at all points in time to be ready for how those chain reactions can happen and where it might go. So it takes a lot of concentration, and it does feel a little bit like, you ever have those conversations like at a social event, back when we had those, and there'd be a moment where all of a sudden you have like 2 or 3 people talking to you in 3 different conversations, whether they just like one person realizes you're there and starts talking at you without realizing you're already engaged in another conversation.
Yeah.
And for a split second, you're trying to see if you can listen to both or all of them, and you realize you can't. You know, it's like it's taking all of your mental strength before you just have to like tap out. It's kind of like that for 4 hours, but I love it. I don't know. It's a fun exercise in the limits of my brain's ability. I guess.
I bet. Jesus. You must be so tired after these recent sessions, especially. I feel like with all that's going on.
I am, but it's a good kind of tired. I mean, anybody out there who's run a game before knows that some of the best sessions are the ones that leave you the most exhausted.
Yes.
And it's when you've really been, stretched to your limit. And this arc in some ways is hitting aspects of running the game and the concentration required in the story in ways I've never had to do before. So it's been fun.
Yeah, and it's so much better than when like you DM a game and the players spend the whole session just trying to get through a door or something so stupid like that, and then you're wired all night because you're like, I'm playing with a bunch of people that are terrible. Marisha.
Fuck doors.
A personal question from Danny and I. What was it like for Bo to receive and to read that letter from Yasha?
Oh man, you guys. Oh, it was so sweet. I don't think Bo was expecting Yasha to be so forthcoming with everything, and so complimentary and eloquent. Yeah, Bo is awkward with healthy relationships, so she doesn't know how to handle them, so she's still processing that and wants to not ruin it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but no, it was magical.
I imagine something like that hitting you while all of this other stuff going on has to be a bit of a whirlwind, for your character. It seems like I would either be like, I either need to put this off and handle this once shit calms down, or the other part of me would be like, fuck it, we could die tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be caught in between some of that thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Danny, please.
In fairness, this is kind of on track with Marisha's love interests in Critical Role, because spoilers for campaign 1, spoilers, Vax definitely told Keyleth that he loved her while they were fighting vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
That's true.
And you roll with the punches.
Yeah. Keyleth did respond a little bit more pragmatically and was like, I don't have time for this right now. This is a terrible time to do any of this. Why are you doing this to me right now? But I think Bo, kind of approaching a lot of things in the complete opposite way that Keyleth would. And also maybe because, like D&D always reflects a little bit of yourself and the surroundings and your personal feelings and what's going on. So I don't know if I would have necessarily even had the same reaction pre-quarantine, where in a weird way our characters are in their own kind of quarantine. So she's like, well, if anything has taught me, if I've learned anything in COVID, it's you can have a date at home or in your wizard's tower in the middle of the tundra. You can make a date anywhere, I guess, at this point.
Can't teleport, so tower it up.
So tower it up. Why not? Why waste time, I guess?
Yeah.
And then also, and Ashley is just so sweet and charming, and she mentioned after the game, because I was like, oh my god, Ashley, and she was like, well, I was just trying to think of, that's my Ashley impression. I was just trying to think of what to say, and and I was like, well, just what are things you feel about Marisha? And I was like,
oh man, that's totally what she was saying.
I'm getting all emotional again just thinking about it. And I was like,
man.
I love you so much. Yeah, she's great. It's amazing.
These last couple episodes, since this has been going on, now when she leaves to go film the show, I say, have fun storming the castle. She knows what I mean. She knows what I mean. Do you know what else I mean by that? It's time to celebrate the first winner of 2021's cosplay. This is a special effect that we have now on the show, thanks to Little Max. Cosplay of the week! Some glitter! A little bit of glitter. Just Our winner for this episode was sent in by Kaya Reynolds at Stormfeather_cosplay on Instagram. Photography by Travi_B on Instagram. Let's take a look.
Oh, that's so good!
What? I haven't seen this. Oh my god!
And there are beads.
And the beads in the hair. The makeup's incredible.
Amazing.
I love the details in the armor.
Oh.
I love the really delicate Simon.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I love the way
Makeup
she did the
point.
wings. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, so good.
Well done.
How do you balance a knife like that? I mean, I got this letter opener.
Don't hurt you. Oh, God.
Keep trying, buddy.
What? Well.
It takes a certain kind of hero to do that.
It's
Look
true.
at that.
Takes
Those
a champion.
wings, the hair. I love all the lacy stuff, I don't know what that's called. Is it called lacy stuff still?
I would say like the strappy bits. I don't know.
Yeah.
The strappy bits, the lacy stuff. That's why you win one of these. That's what we look for. It's on the spreadsheet.
Brian and I just go through the cosplay, just going, all right, where are the strappy bits? And where are the strappies and the lacy bits?
About a year and a half from now, we'll unveil Strappy Bits of the Week. It'll be its own separate award.
It'll be a calendar. Strappy bits and lacy things. Coming soon.
Perfect.
Well, congrats to you, Kaya. You have won. Let me just finish filling this out. This $100 gift card to the Critical Role US shop. How crazy is that? It's $100. You can get whatever you want unless it's sold out. In that case, check back later.
Yeah, and you suffer along with all of us.
Suffer along with the rest of us who don't have our Vax Hoodie Still Laura Bailey. Who don't have our Vax Hoodie Still Laura Bailey. You can enter our bi-weekly contests by visiting critroll.com. Sometimes you gotta tease them. /submit. You see the dumbbells on the side of that thing? I've been working out on the break. You see how big those? Hold on.
Lift with your legs. Lift with your legs.
I am.
Oh.
Whoa.
Good job.
Okay. Rules for our contest can be found at critroll.com. Moving on, Matt.
Yes, Brian.
Something that's been so fun in my home campaign, but has been a rare occurrence in Critical Role so far, is wild magic. How's it been playing with that table recently? And what is it about Cross that attracts that type of chaos?
It's been fun. I took a lot of the wild magic aspects and made some custom tables, added some things, changed it a little bit. Kind of wanted to give it some variation to consequences, because wild magic in 5th edition at least, they definitely took some of the teeth out of it from older editions.
Oh, really?
A little bit, yeah.
They had a lot of teeth-based stuff in the other one?
Sure. Teeth. They, yeah, but to be fair, older editions, it was also kind of a little too dangerous sometimes. Nothing like a level, 4 character summoning Baylor accidentally and wiping the party because of a dice roll. But yeah, so it's been fun to play with that a bit, add a little bit of randomness to it. That'll kind of increase, I'm sure, as more combat and magic gets thrown around to and from. But in Cross, a lot of it is just based in the odd magic that was left behind in the destruction of Aor, and kind of just the essence of the continent and is that World War II plane going overhead or something?
Yeah, it sounds like yeah.
There you go. You have it like traveling over each person's.
Yeah, from Danny's to ours.
It'll be at my house in
goes
about
through the valley.
20 minutes.
Yep, there you go. Sorry, but yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun. Fun for myself, and it's fun for the players too. Like I knew it would be once I kind of gave them the specifications of when these things would happen, for better or worse. The players are just like waiting for someone to roll a 20 or a 1 at all times.
Right.
Even Liam's like, so does that count? I'm like, it wasn't magic, Liam. He's like, damn it, I want weird shit to happen. I'm like, I know, me too, buddy, me too.
Mary Elizabeth's character in our last home game had wild magic, and there's 2 or 3 games in a row where she got the beard of feathers. She kept rolling the same thing that hit on the beard of feathers, and it was, if you can imagine Mary role-playing with a beard of feathers, it was the greatest. Amazing. It was the greatest thing in the world, man. Yeah, wild magic can be so fun unless you're playing it and you get into some bad
which
can
happen too. I'm looking forward to that. There's been they've rolled like the butterfly thing a few times.
The butterfly thing,
I'm kind of
twice or 3 times.
Yeah.
It's so sweet though.
It's pretty cute.
Danny's
so cute.
emoting down there. Danny, you left your tree up for a long time, it looks like.
Yeah, this is just called January 2021.
I get it. Trust me. I get it. We're all feeling that.
Mm-hmm.
Marisha, to go back to our favorite topic of the night, Bo asked Yasha out on a date.
Yay! Let's talk about Yasha some more.
Let's talk about Yasha some more. Why is it so important to her that they have a proper date first? Is it wrapped up in her desire for a fresh start, or with her, or what's it really wrapped up in for you?
Yeah, I think definitely a fresh start. I think her and Yasha have kind of had such this weird, it's kind of a weird dynamic, to be totally honest. And I think it's kind of led to this place of not really knowing where we stand with each other and what to do next. And it's because we're both awkward people, and I don't mean Bo and Yasha, I mean Marisha and Ashley.
Yes, true.
So,
very true.
Yeah, and then kind of like what I was touching on earlier, I think so much of Bo's past relationships have been rooted in some toxic behavior. So I think there's even things like, I think back at Bo is deeply inappropriate and with Yasha in many ways. I mean, and that's also Bo. But when you think about that then, and someone who you might actually be trying to have like a legitimate romantical relationship,
yeah,
you're like, oh, I'm sorry. It totally starts to kind of feel like that couple that's like, oh, I hated him when we first met, he was like a frat boy douchebag who like smacked my ass at the movie theater. And I
Sorry,
was like,
Laura
oh.
Travis. We didn't mean to bring you into this.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, that's right.
We'll bleep it out. We'll ADR somebody else's name.
But yeah, I think that's what Bo was trying to avoid. So, yeah, Bo just kind of feels like, well, maybe we should just start from the beginning in the most us way possible, fighting through the tundra with our dead-ish friend.
Yeah. Fighting through the tundra with my deadish friend. Gonna
Fighting
make
in
it
the
out
tundra
by
with my
New
deadish
Year's
friend.
Johnny Cash.
Oh man, new theme song for the new season of Game Ranch. Matthew,
Yes.
how are you, man?
Good. How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. Good. Hey, what was your inspiration for Aeor and these excavation sites? Because you mentioned that the design is more sci-fi than anything else in Exandria, and we've seen that in the tech and the experiments. Was it a desire to bring that flavor to your world, and so while still allowing everything to stay rooted in fantasy?
That's part of it. It's interesting because like Aeor, the theme came last, if that makes any sense. The kind of sci-fi-ish, if you can call it that. It's the closest analogy I had to describe it in the moment. But like that theme came probably towards the very end of developing Aeor for me in my head. It was more about, and a lot of my world building comes from rationalization. It's, this thing exists. But in order for this to exist, rationally, this would have to happen. And then for these people to exist in this society, it would rationally be like this. And so it's kind of like just trying to answer all the questions that pop up in my head about the thing that I decided upon, and then that kind of spiders out and spiders out. And so developing, you have multiple magocracies in a time period, and what marks them all unique culturally in my head, that to me intrigues me on how all these different societies, these cities, in some cases kind of the mortals who have forgotten the gods or want to usurp and rise above them, what level of humanity does that remind me of? At what part of human society is God dead? And that reminds me a lot of us in some ways. And
Some about ravers.
Yeah. Well, and think about it too, like to a certain extent, when you are so powerful with Arcana, when it becomes so focused on the science of the science of the magic, aesthetics begins to pull away to instead facilitate. What's we're looking for? My brain's freaking out. The aesthetics pull away to instead facilitate the
Utility?
The utility or the most direct route to the answers you want.
Oh yeah.
So streamlining, you streamline as opposed to focusing on the aesthetic. And so when it comes to their own research, when it comes to the things they're trying to achieve in a short period of time with the magical technology at their disposal, things to kind of become a little more sleek and a little more smooth and a little less intricate and architecturally, culturally beautiful and more just direct to the point. And that tends to lend itself to a little more of a sci-fi aesthetic. Yeah. So that was kind of where the inspiration came from when I began to develop the final details of the Aeor ruins and what came in there. And then the bonus to that is that it brings a wholly unique flavor to the game beyond anything else they've seen, which is another challenge for a Dungeon Master that's been running an extended campaign in the world, or multiple campaigns within the same world for your players. Is how do I keep surprising them? How do I keep making it feel unique and fresh and intriguing and mysterious? And so all those things kind of came together, and I was super excited to kind of begin to reveal those themes.
Yeah, I love it, and I love the art that it's made too, that it's produced. Oh God, Marisha, how does Bo feel about Aeor and the magical technology and experiments she's been seeing? Does it impress her, scare her? Is she indifferent? How's she feeling about it?
I think Bo is just so focused on the pragmatic aspects of it all right now. I think Bo is just trying not to undercut that it doesn't matter if any of this happened 2,000, 3,000 years ago, that there are greedy people with motives and the will and want to corrupt across all spans and cultures and times and ways of living. So I think she's just trying not to get lost in the magic, both proverbially and literally, of it all, and just trying to focus on the motives of these people at hand. I think that's where her brain is going, and that makes sense because Bo is more she's not going to be as infatuated with the architectural arcane nature of it all. That's for Caleb. Her thing is trying to discover clues about these people. She's kind of a little bit more about the civilization, I think, in that way. And that's what fascinates her about Aor is, you know, what is the cognosum, or, you know, and who were these people, and what was going on to make them make these decisions to have such, you know, intense ramifications and consequences to them. So that's really where she's focused on. And as of right now, I think that's kind of the biggest unknown in a lot of ways, is what this group of ancient old ass mages were up to.
Yeah.
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 I'm excited to talk about these things if ever they come up in the story. There's so many aspects that I'm just like, keep prying, keep asking, keep looking, and whatever doesn't get revealed as part of the story, we can have a big old discussion as part of the campaign 2 wrap up at the end that I cannot wait for.
Like, yeah. I think Caleb kind of hit it on the head where he said, when we started figuring out, you know, who this group of people was, and he was like, oh, they were the Cerberus assembly of their time. And Bo didn't go, oh, group of super powerful mages. Bo went, well, the Cerberus assembly is corrupt as fuck. So that was where her brain went first, because that's kind of where...
Big cobalt soul energy right there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why she's kind of had these notions, and they've kind of hinted at these things of, I don't think these mages had the best interest of Aor in the fucking slightest, and who knows what they were up to. I think they were out for themselves, but who knows? We're still gonna find out. Look, Matt's doing this.
So much I want to say. So much I can't.
It's the cognosum and the it's been a little bit the
somnovum.
Somnovum, right?
Should have just asked me.
Sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to step
and
on you.
somnovum.
No.
That's what it
Please,
is.
that's what you're here for.
That's what you're here for, Daddy. Don't worry. You're here to step on Matt. It says it on your business cards. I have it here.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't say that. It doesn't say that.
Matt, distract us from Danny's new job title with an answer to this question. You introduced the Arboretum. Kidding, Danny.
Nailed it.
Arboretum?
The
Arboretism.
What? Arboretism?
Arboretum.
Arboretism's what you get if you eat bad sushi in Miami. Trust me. It's the reason why I'm still so thin. Anyways, you
After
introduced...
eating sushi in Miami.
Well, I was a younger man then. Anyways, we introduced it to the 9. Showing Caduceus another forest with similar corruption to his own Savalier wood. What was that reveal like, and did his response surprise you?
In some ways, it's a lot to process. It's dropping some mysterious threads, elements that... it's interesting that there have been some small little seeds that I planted a long time ago even that tie into some aspects of this, that tie into some aspects of Caduceus' story and narrative. And it was just kind of the first major reveal that there are some aspects in the world possibly related to his story that maybe aren't as complete as he thought, or at least other sides to the coin that he hadn't learned about, to at least kind of, give an example as to this corruption in this place does have similarities to the corruption in the Savalier would. What does that mean? What does that mean for you personally? Does that mean that this is more of a drive for you to stop whatever remnants of this magic than Aeor that still might exist and continues this corruption? Is it mean that this is just a reminder of the things that are important to you at home? Like I had no idea how he would react, and in some ways it shook him in some ways more than I expected, and also kind of pushed him away more in ways than I expected. It was interesting. Like I said, you never know how your player is going to react, and every character's emotional process to learning things as they come across them. To me, that's the meat of the game. That's what I live for. If my players didn't react at all, or were like, "Oh, that's cool," took a note and then kept on walking, then I'm terrible at what I do, and that to me is not fulfilling.
Yeah, you start Trask in the next game, teach him a lesson.
I guess there's that too. But yeah, no, in some ways I was like, interesting reaction, and yeah, man, I'm excited to see if people react to future revelations through future Aeorian ruins and interactions in the future, depending on where they go.
Man, I love it. I love it.
Don't give me that Travis look, Marisha.
Look at her.
Look at her. Trying to pry things out of my expression.
What does it mean? What does it mean indeed?
Double rainbow voice.
Oh, this campaign has been filled with red herrings throughout the narrative. I can't wait for the wrap up.
Oh man, we're gonna need to do like Danny. I was just thinking about when he said that we're gonna need to do probably like a 4-part wrap up. Like if we learned anything from the campaign 1 wrap up, it's okay. It's okay. It'll be fine.
Not even, my brain isn't even there yet.
We'll just do like a season of wrap up.
Just a long season, and it's just Matt sitting there and just telling us everything.
In a robe.
In a robe.
In a robe. Do you know what else should be its own season? This week's winner of Fan Art of the Week.
Fan Art of the
Week! This episode's winner was sent in by Kayla Marquez at Orator Kayla. It's a doozy. Let's take a look.
Oh.
Gonna need a print of this, please. Right here. Just right here.
Oh my goodness.
I love it.
The eyes.
Just the
gorgeous.
Look, the expression, the like, yeah, if you come back in 5 minutes, I might be sleeping, but I won't be.
Yeah.
He doesn't even sleep with his eyes closed.
Yes, you're so right. This is
He doesn't
full
sleep.
looking over at
he doesn't sleep.
Molly not sleeping. Yeah. Or
this is full him like staring in through
into the dome.
The dome.
Yes,
I always want to call it
so
the globe.
Creepy.
The globe.
I don't know why. I've never called it the globe, and I do all the time.
Happy fun globe.
I love like the whip tail, and I love the hair too. Oh,
This is closer to kind of how I think I described it in full detail, but like Lucy and I see having the longer hair because it hasn't cut it since he came back, and kind of a visual distinction to him is he would have a little longer hair than Molly was remembered as, and just like the cool kind of unflappable confidence that he holds in this picture, I think is nailing it perfectly. Yes. I love it.
Yes.
It's so good. Well done.
I love it when artists
Kayla.
do this with a very like a monochromatic piece with a single bright color.
Yeah,
with
popping
the red.
color.
I love it when artists do that. It's so cool.
Because you think you're going to focus on it, but you really don't. It sort of sets the backdrop and makes me focus on him more because he's so different than what.
And you just can't stop looking at his eyes.
Yes.
Like I try to look at other things, and I pull back up
into his eyes. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well done.
All
Kayla
11 of them.
Yes. Exactly.
27 eyes.
Well done, Kayla. You have won this. Hang on one sec. I just want to make sure everything is clean.
Oh my god.
Just want to make sure before I touch it. I want to make sure my hands are clean.
Of course.
You have won this $100 gift card to the Critical Role US shop. I mean, it's going to be this exact one, too. So I hope you're a big fan of mine, specifically, because that's got a little extra Aqua di Gio on it. Is that what it's called? You can enter our bi-weekly contest by visiting cribroll.com/submit. And you can also find the rules for our contest there. Moving on. Matt.
Congrats. Yes.
Dagon Underthorn. Did I say that right?
You did.
Hopefully the rest of the cast is watching. Dagon Underthorn is such a fantastic character.
I love him.
What was the inspiration behind him? Is he following the Nine just for his pay, or is it possible that he is, in fact, secretly in love with them?
Well, he's definitely a man of his word when it comes to, fulfilling a contract and getting the other half of his pay. But, it's not hard to see that they've grown on him a little bit. No, I had the thought for him for a while back. I was trying to think, if they make their way to Islecross, they're going to need a guide, because it is a very different landscape, and there'd be people there that make a living, as they do in the real world, in any place where for people that travel and want to journey across dangerous, unfamiliar territory, there is good money to be made in being a guide. And so, just trying to think of the kind of person that could really make their way through there, I was like, I want there to be this like grizzled, awesome dwarf who is not defined by his disability. In fact, in spite of it, shows to still be one of the best guides you can get out there, and his adaptation makes him just this absolute badass. And so I kind of developed him a while back, and was hoping that when we got to Islecross, things would work out where that could, function as the guide they come across. And when it depended based on the decision they made. Like, I told them a little bit too, because right around the time that the peace treaty was signed, there were a few different threads that could follow at that point. There was Vest saying that she had worked for them. There was Essex saying that he had worked for them. And there was different avenues they could have possibly found their way to Islecross via these individuals. And Dagon was kind of the Empire route. And so, since that's the route they took, they managed to interact. They got to travel with him, and he's awesome, and I love him. And now that they're traveling with Lucy, and I was like, oh man, that's going to make it weird. But he's also really, really good at getting around on the tundra unseen and unnoticed. That's kind of a speciality. So
yeah, that's going to come in handy.
Yeah.
Marisha, in true Sam fashion.
Oh my god. Duh.
You know what I'm about to talk about.
Yes.
In true Sam fashion, Veth seems to be unknowingly sabotaging Yasha and Bo's date. I know, Ash came in when I was watching this part of it, and she's like, can you believe this? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, I can.
He's such a troll. He's such a fucking troll.
He's such a troll. What are Bo's thoughts on Veth's insistence on making sure Yasha feels welcome? And what are Marisha's thoughts on Sam's epic trolling?
Here's the thing. Here's the tea. Okay? If I ever hear one more fucking person trying to claim that I am ruining things by metagaming,
oh god, yeah,
I'm going to point to Sam. Because it's barely Veth to it's Sam. And then I, as Bo, am expected to respond accordingly to Veth being a Sam troll.
Uh-huh.
God's damn him. Raven Queen curse upon him.
Chaos reign indeed.
Ew,
Let
God.
chaos reign.
It is
Maybe
very
pull
fun
out
to
my
watch.
earphones. I can't hear anything you're saying.
Oh,
Anyway.
yeah, that's true. It is very fun to watch, though.
So yeah,
Despite
it's
how
like
frustrating
that.
it is.
Speaking with Veth as a little bit of Bo and a lot of bit Marisha.
Yep. You have to expect it, though, after playing D&D with him for this long. You've got to expect something.
I do, and I expect it, and I respect it, and
I mean, I don't.
it's frustrating because I'd be mad at it if it wasn't so goddamn funny.
It's so perfect, and even though sometimes you think, like, now's not the time, dude, it's like he makes sure it is the time. That's why he's so smart, and I hate it.
That's the thing. It would be infuriating, or it would be at any other table, or at least a table with people that didn't know each other well enough. It would be borderline not great behavior.
Yeah.
Borderline disrespectful.
Yeah.
But because it's Sam, we know what he's doing. We know he's not doing it maliciously. He's doing it just to tease and be fun.
Yep.
And if at any point what did make Marisha and Ashley really unhappy, then they'd have a conversation about it, and then
Absolutely.
end it immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
she told me she hates it.
well, then we gotta have a conversation. Shit.
Yeah, Sam. And she said that tonight was how she wanted me to tell you, because she knows you watch every week. Matt, I can't believe you haven't been on the show to talk about this since it happened, but it's just one of those things with time still being soup, to quote our former creative director, Marisha. What was it like to have Avantika return to face Ford and the Mighty Nine? Because you said they had a 1 in 10 chance of encountering her on their voyage. Did you always know she'd return in some way?
No, I didn't know she always would. It was just an interesting, fun option out there. The thing is, the Mighty Nine still have in their grasp the singular most important artifact, in Ukutoa's opinion at the moment. It's the one thing that's preventing the entity from being free from its current imprisonment. And as long as they carry that artifact, his Eye of Sauron is trying to find them. And once they hit that sea, whenever they find a port, whenever they find any sort of realm in which his followers have any sort of capability, they're going to hunt for him. Because that's exactly what it would be. But it's not an automatic thing either. It depends on luck and circumstances working together. And the best way that I could figure out to do that was to put it on a table. I knew they'd be traveling for a few days. I'm really enjoying these travel aspects now that I can build out these tables and, kind of be like, I don't know what's going to happen today, but I have a few things prepared and let's see where it goes. And even as the travel through Isocross, there's a few numbers in those encounter tables that I'm like, oh, I really, really hope we get to some of those before.
Yeah. That we haven't hit yet?
Oh, there's a bunch you haven't hit yet on that. I mean, this.
How big is the table? Is it like a D100 situation?
No, it's a D20. But then, some of them are just comfortable travel. Some of them are things that get in the way of travel and slow down travel, and some of them are encounters. And I have an encounter table that I roll on after that. But then when you get to a certain encounter, that's like a specific thing, like the obelisk that did the death wave, or like the statue circle. Then I take it off the table and replace it with something else in case you guys roll it again.
Oh, that's smart.
So I'm just hoping
that you're so smart, baby.
Aww. You're just now telling him this?
But there's a few numbers.
Only once a year, Brian. Only once.
I can't. Hey, start off the year with the compliment to you.
Exactly. I got my one. I got it out.
Got it. I just can't wait till the episode where it all works out to where we can do that famous song. They're taking the obelisk to Islecross. They're taking the obelisk to Islecross.
Oh my god.
The hell,
The
2010 just
obelisk.
come in here like the Kool-Aid Man?
Yeah, it's more like 2005 came in here like the Double Rainbow Man. Marisha. Rest in peace, man. I think he passed.
He did.
Caduceus suggested contacting Essek and telling him everything about the crest, but Bo, as well as Caleb, nixed that idea.
Yeah.
Does she think she can trust him with any of this knowledge?
Gods, no.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
She can like Essek personally, as a person, he's fine, I guess. But I think a lot of people might be, maybe some on my team might be forgetting that he's kind of a war criminal and kind of set off a lot of bad things in motion with this war with the Empire and the Dynasty because, he wanted power and to know things. So now here he is. Also in Aor. Yeah. Just kind of putting 2 and 2 together there. So it is another one of those things of, it's just like the same thing with Lucian, where you're kind of walking that line on trying to keep them on your good side and having a mutual, using kind of mutually beneficial relationship before it could easily go completely south.
Yeah.
So she's not against getting in contact with him, but I don't think, because you can kind of fight fire with fire. I think that's where more her brain is going. And
being in contact with him is different than telling him more than maybe he could be trusted with.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the thin line in the barrier. And it's, I mean, like Matt said, it's a dance. Well,
you guys have had a lot of practice with me.
Yes. Thin rice paper barriers.
Yep.
I would like to point out, by the way, we were talking about Avantika coming back. A amazing critter found. I guess I had a little Nostradamerisha moment.
Ooh.
Where it did not work. It was kind of on the top of my head. I'll workshop it.
We'll come back to it.
Wait. Nostradamerish.
Better.
Anyway.
Why isn't it just Nostradamerisha?
Is that better?
Nostradamerisha.
Anyway, I guess back after we kind of closed the lid on the Avantika stuff a while ago, and she kind of came back, and I think Ford got stabbed. I said...
Spoilers.
Kind of offhandedly, apparently I said, this is going to come back to haunt us 80 episodes down the road, isn't it? Or I said something along those lines, and it was almost to the T.
No
the amount of episodes. Later. Way. I don't remember. Someone tweeted it. Whoever you are, you're awesome for figuring that out.
That's so funny. But, oh my god. That's so
you
funny.
Dick.
That is so funny. Just for the podcast listeners, you know. Just for the podcast. Just one for the podcast, folks. Okay, we're almost out of time, but a couple last ones before. Matt, we didn't get a chance to talk to Travis about this the last time he was on because it was sort of one of those gray areas of something if we couldn't talk about it yet, but it was before you had tweeted about it. But the Star Razor was a vestige this entire time.
Yes.
What prompted you to make that weapon a vestige, and where exactly in its journey is it in between Awakening versus Exalted? You know, what can you tell us about it?
So when I seeded the pieces...
The plane's at my house now.
There we go. I got that. I knew it would happen.
I told you I'd be here in 40 minutes.
Mr. Brian.
Yeah.
Exactly. When I had seeded the pieces of it that could possibly be forged down the line, and then I was like, if they end up going through with this, it would most likely end up being a vestige, one of the ones that I might incorporate in the campaign. I don't want this to be, and just for those who are considering, I've seen conversation about it, the vestiges aren't always a thing where it's like, everyone gets a vestige, you get a vestige, you get a vestige. I didn't know who was going to use the item, and other than the first campaign in which it was an actual a major part of the narrative of them acquiring their vestiges. It was a central part of the story. I want them to be still considered special and rare. So this is one that kind of had to be earned, had to be reforged. There was a whole quest involved to get the materials for it. And even then, not even understanding what it was, I wanted it to be kind of the discovery of a vestige, how I would want other people to kind of use them in some aspects of their narrative beyond how I did it in the first campaign. And so as it got together, and then Ford managed to be the one that picked it up, I was like, all right, cool. And I don't know what circumstances would involve it coming about, but I decided at the time, based on just the character levels and kind of his own personal growth and the growth that he went through at the same time he was forging it. Like he didn't just forge a vestige and went, cool, I forged it. He forged it at the same time that he broke his pact with his patron, and was going through this heavy evolution into a paladin. So in essence, not only did he finish the creation of the sword, but he awakened it at the same time that he made this transition. So when he got the sword at that point, part of that process was him awakening it, though he didn't understand at the time what that was, because it was all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until the showdown with Avantika and kind of him closing that thread with the blade that it was like, this would be the moment for it to exalt. So it is exalted at this point. It's in its final form.
Yo. That's sick. Oh man, that's gonna be a part of some important cosplay. Marisha, before we get out of here, do you or Bo have any expectations or thoughts on what might be waiting for you in Aeor? And how long do you think this tentative alliance with the Tomb Takers is going to last? You know what I mean?
I have no idea. I am trying to abandon expectation when it comes to that. I know what we don't know. And that's it.
Yeah.
The known unknown.
The known unknown, as I love to talk about. Yes, absolutely. Bo is trying to compensate for the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns. I don't know. I have no idea. I hope we can kind of keep this tenuous relationship through till Aeor, because we just kind of need more answers before it explodes in our face, which it inevitably will.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Bo and Marisha is hoping for a little bit more information before shit hits the fan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Matt, looking at you.
I know, right?
Lucian
talking
is
about?
Don't know what you're talking about. Go ahead, Danny.
Lucian is pondering Caleb's offer, so that's a good sign. So you have a day of travel to maybe try to convince him or something. I don't know why I did like a sexy wiggle, but whatever.
That's how I convince people.
This is how I convince people to do things.
If Caleb could sexy wiggle his way to Lucian, maybe he'll show them the book.
Caleb, I'm just saying. Just incorporate a sexy wiggle.
I was
Figure it
just
out.
wondering if maybe we could look at your book.
Lucian. Yes. Can I have your book?
Oh my God, what a great accent. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight, folks. I'd like to thank Matt and Marisha for joining us this week. Danny, as always, for starting us on this sexy wiggle ending.
Sexy wiggle.
Hey, we hope your year has started off okay. We hope you're okay. We hope you're staying safe. We hope you're staying very healthy and sane. We love you so much. Thank you for watching this terrible show. But we're here for you whenever we can be. Hey, stay sharp, my friends. Don't forget to love each other and don't worry. It's almost Thursday.
There
it is.
I know, I was setting you up for something crazy, and then I wanted to just gently let you go.
No,
Thank you, Matt. Thank you,
it wasn't that
Marisha.
crazy. Yeah, yes.
Thank you,
Yes.
Danny.
Love you guys.
Thank you, critters. We love you. Happy 2021.
Happy
Let's
20.
make it a good one. Let's make it a good
better
one.
We made it.
We made it. Looks like we made it. DMC it.